Rightio then, coincidence or conspiracy? I'm going to kick us off with one that's very pertinent to the pandemic crisis we find ourselves in now. And it's this. Back in the last week of October in 2019, the World Military Games took place. Now, the World Military Games are like the Olympic equivalent for military personnel. They're held every 4 years, where thousands of military personnel descend upon a city and take part in 7 or 8 days of athletic competition. Well, last year, in the last week of October 2019, 10,000 military personnel from 130 different countries worldwide took part in these games. Do you know where they were held? They were held in the city of Wuhan in China. In the early part of November, a deadly virus, the coronavirus, surfaced. Guess where it surfaced? It surfaced in Wuhan in China. So there's the coincidence, and it's an absolutely massive coincidence. In fact, it's too big of a coincidence for me to believe, for me not to deny, because the military games can be held anywhere in the world. A virus can surface anywhere in the world. It must be 1,000,000,000 to 1 shot that these two things occurred in exactly the same city at practically exactly the same time. Now, if you deny this coincidence, by virtue of that, you are actually stating that you also believe that this was a man-made virus, because it was intentionally released to coincide with the World Military Games. It was intentionally released because the protagonists who released this knew fine well they now had 10,000 unwitting military personnel to act as their carriers for this virus and to spread it worldwide. It also answers the question as to how this thing spread so quickly worldwide. And if that's not enough proof, look at this. Look at the participants, the number of participants from each country in this event. And the 6 countries with by far the most participants were China, obviously, the United States, Italy, Spain, Russia, and Brazil. Now look at your COVID charts, your charts for the COVID deaths, your charts for the number of COVID carriers around the world, and you will see these countries way up at the top of the list of the COVID charts. The only exception to this is the UK. The UK didn't have any personnel at these games, but also the UK didn't and still hasn't closed its airports to any travel from any foreign countries, including China, ever since the crisis began. That's why the UK has now caught up in number of deaths and a number of COVID cases with the rest of these countries. But just remember, it took the UK 4, 5, 6 weeks to catch up with the likes of Italy and Spain. And now you know why. So I'll leave it to you. Coincidence or conspiracy? You decide.